other father at all. We wouldn't want one because he owned 3 houses. He coached and worked all his life for the community, and he had 6 children. And the vision of my mother and father was education and sports, number one. So I went to Jarvis Christian College. Bridget went to Lamar. Crystal went to Alabama A&M. I still got your ring though. Brittany went to Alcorn. Shara went to Houston Tillotson, and all kind of. When I didn't understand the exposure that my father gave me, because when your parents and you don't, I'm the oldest, but what you doing? I'm on TV. I'm 2 games away. So he coached and he taught. I didn't understand this as a 9, 10, 4-year-old. Go out there and want to love your father. This. So I'm gonna say thank you from the baseball field again. To God, I'm privileged to stand here before you and say something about the great T.D. Ward. Enthusiastically told her on a person day of celebration. I am to say something on behalf of my family. Mr. Rose had said earlier that he knew T.D. as T.D. and didn't know until later he was Willie James Ward. Well, the same goes true for my auntie Kuna. I later found out her name was Lola, and that was a relief. Now, TD and I had a three-pronged relationship. He was my cousin, my friend, and my golfing partner. For the sake of time, I'm not going to say anything about the other two because we got someone that's going to follow. Was a fearless person as a kid. And I'm saying it because I've been knowing him for 70 years. And people who know about a little community in East Texas by the name of Jamestown, they know they had a creek that was very famous there called Beacon Creek. TD was the only one that would dive in the creek from the bridge. All the type of snakes and other things there. So if I had to characterize his life, I would say TD is fearless, he was courageous. I have to concur with his son, Linda. He did a lot of things. I would say this, and one writer can back me up, and it goes like this. It's wealth come in many different forms, and time is money. T.D. Ward was wealthy. And the thing is, he shared that riches with all the persons that he touched. T.D. Ward
that we with a family then and talk about
Jack. At the mall for a short spin. I just, man, how you follow me back over there? Oh, Lord. Hold up. Long putt. He had this dance. And I look at TD, I say, what is that? He said, man, sometimes you got to swing out with that ball to make it turn. I said, okay. I don't know if I can learn that, TD. And the trips, he brought me all over the golf courses I never thought was around. But he always tell me about one guy. He said, I see something in you, and you remind me of this guy. Well, Alvin Lee, you was that guy. He said, you hit that ball so high, I don't know if it's going to come down. He said, well, Alvin did the same thing. And he went on in advance and got real good. So I said, well, TD, get ready, brother, I'm coming. And one day we was playing, and after a couple of years, I got on the tee box, and I thought I smashed it, well, I really did. And T.D. wouldn't wait on us because he said, boy, don't slow us down now. I said, okay. So when I pulled up and got out the car and walked toward my bar, he looked at me, boy, what you doing up here with us? I said, T.D., I told you I'm coming. But he was a good mentor. He taught me things on the ride out of town. I can't tell you about the conversation we had in that SUV. But he told me, Polo, keep grinding, man. You're gonna do good. And I took a lesson, a golf lesson. I never thought I would do that. But I got pretty good, but I stay in my lane. And I miss my buddy. For 8 years, I tagged along. Talk. Hoorah. We look at the sunrise, and we look at God's date, sunset. We all have that date. But I want y'all to put an emphasis on the space in between. That's his legacy. That's the people he touched. As I look across this church, he touched a lot of people. And a lot of people that's not here. Gonna miss you, brother, but your legacy will live on. One more drive for you.
Good morning. I am, of course, T.D. had a lot of friends. I didn't know anyone that didn't know of T.D. We worked together at the same plants, started off at Unicare, at least I did. That's where I met. From the time that he and his of course, he was an avid athlete, basketball, baseball, everything there was about football. We would sit down and talk about sports a lot. And of course, our kids. Negative. He was a positive person, confident individual, and he was a person that made you want to be like him. T.D. April the 28th, I'll never forget it. He come over and we sat for 2 hours. And I told him when he left, see you later, buddy. Okay, man. This day came just a few days later when I heard the news. But anyway, I'm gonna miss T.D. I learned a lot from our conversations. I'm gonna miss him and I respect him. And I wish he was still here today. That's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Following this musical selection, the next voice that you will hear will be that of Pastor Andrew Jackson. That was all I was supposed to say, but T.D. and Andy are like a month apart in age. And they put my baby
I shall wear a crown. Oh, I shall wear a crown. Yeah. When it's all over, when it's all over, I shall wear a crown. Yeah. Crown when it's all over. Yeah, somebody, when it's all over, I shall see his face. You better believe it. I shall see his face. When it's all over, oh yeah. When it's all over, I shall see his face. Yes, I will. I shall see his beautiful, wonderful, holy, majestic face. When so said and done, hey, I tell my story like I can. I'm gonna put on my robe and tell. Teddy got a story to tell of how he made it. 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 Yeah, yeah. Put on my robe and tell the story of how I ain't gotta cry no more. I ain't gotta suffer no more. No more pain, no more sorrow over on this side. But I got a mansion waiting for me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Put on my robe and tell how I made it over. Soon as I get home, soon as I get home, soon as I get home. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I got a home over in glory. Yeah. Soon as I get home.
To the Boyd Chapel family, thank you for having us. And I always put this stuff in the wrong spot. Anyway, if you will, I'm going to get you to turn as I show respects to the house and to the Lord. If you would turn to 2 Corinthians. I put my stuff all over the place. We're actually remodeling at my house, so I have stuff everywhere. So, to the Lord our God, ministers, my family, I'm not going to say the family, my family. 'Cause to the friends, to the Christians. I shall read verse 9 because not only did I lose my paperwork, I forgot my glasses. Trying to get here. And so I'm going to read verse 10 here before the judgment seat of Christ. You do not have to stand. Just read with me. That each according to what he has done, whether good or bad. And I know Reverend Reynolds, I'm sorry, but he has asked what would my topic be. And I just gave him a simple topic from happiness to holiness. From happiness, and I are actually 21 days apart. Everything that he went through, I went through it with, followed him into marriage, the same thing. So we live our lives together, our whole lives, children, everything. So I guess you say, well, are you going to miss him? No, because I'm not going to let him go. But 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Now, I just read that one verse because I have forgotten my glasses. But as I read this, I say, this takes a look at his life from his past and now his present, and it looks to his future. And see, this is appropriate, but it's a funny how when you start to say, I've heard that before. Now, some of you younger wards are not going to identify with that. But Lynn, Henry, I noticed I did not call him by his nickname. But they know. The first time I heard that sermon at a funeral was February 1993. Reverend Daniels of Sunlight, right? Sunlight Baptist Church. And the person to whom he was doing the funeral service was Willie H. Ward. He saw it appropriate to talk about the expectation that Willie H. Ward expressed in his Christian walk. And the thing about that is, prior to the demise of Willie H. Ward, he knew his time was near, so he called Willie J. And he told him he wanted to talk to him. He wanted to get his affairs in order. And the main thing that he told him, he says, not be concerned. I'm not there. I am not there. Now, it seemed like if we would go to Willie J's recent past, even past April 30th, he had a talk with his daughter. And she expressed her concern. And the thing about it, though, is he said, don't worry about it. I'm okay. And then we got to the most recent past, which was April 30th, and he went down. It's a funny thing about that going down. It said that, and I look at it spiritually like this. His body remained. I want you to take that as truth. He got up. Because you know why? All that hammering that Willie H. put into Willie J., he began between the time of Willie H. and this last April 30th, there was a time for Brenda Ward. And Willie J. told me that in that room, and she was feeling bad. And we were talking about, I was trying to encourage her. Then all of a sudden it seemed like, he said, but I knew that somebody came in the room. And Brenda, who always hammered about the Lord, she was going to tell you about it, and Brenda turned her attention away from him and addressed whoever it was that came into that room. And he said, man, all I know is that she said, I know someone came in. And said, then she was gone. So whatever Willie H. did not hammer into Willie J., Brenda brought it home. And because you look at verse 8, it says, while we here in the body, we walk by faith. What does that say? We just walk by what we believe. I've not actually seen it. I just believe that it's true. And I'm going to design my life around that. When this, when, 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 earthly tent, which is our house, is torn down, we won't have to walk by faith. We can walk by sight. We should see him. We should see him as he is. So, and he placed his hope in that. He said, I'm going to place my hope in what Willie H. told me. I'm going to place my hope in what Brenda showed me. And I'm going to live based on the promises that God gave them. It's a funny thing, that this scripture, it says that, see, when this body here is dissolved, torn down, you know, this temporary thing, and that's the point that he was making, that this body is temporary. You know, even in chapter 4 of this, he'd say, if it's seen, it's temporary. If it's unseen, then it's permanent. But the thing about it is, what I read you, the judgment says that April 30th, he fell down. It ain't over. It ain't over. If you expecting him to have gone away, let me be the first to advise you that he has not. God has provided to die. Then after that comes the judgment. So what has happened is he's separated from his temporary tent. And he describes this tent as made of dirt, earthly. When this earthly, this thing that is constantly trying to get back to the dirt, you know? Think about it. When you hurt this morning, that was that old back trying to get back down and become earth again. You know? That's what it was. You know, but I don't think about it so much as that, because that's how he made it. What I think about is this temporary thing. It has the bad habit of sinning against God. It's true. How many of you, and do not raise your hand, but how many of you in here are saved? So if you are saved, do you tell me that you still sin? And I would agree with you if you said yes. Why? Because of one thing. This body still likes to tag along behind the sin. It has a habit of sinning against God. So he said, the only way that he can get away from it, because he said, I'm groaning about it. You know, even in Romans 7, what he said was, you know, I'm discovering that sin is tough. You know, whatever I wish to do, I don't do that. You know, what I think is wrong, That's what I do. You know, and in his anguish, the groaning, he said, oh, wretched man that is present. I can't do right for doing wrong. It's just that the body has a habit of sinning against God. This here tent, Willie J., I'm not going to say T.D., Willie J. finally got his wish for the peace of salvation by separating from this dirt, temporary body. And he's allowed that body to go back to the dirt. And now I'm not going to try to sit here and discuss this whole thing because the church is not going to allow us that kind of time. But Paul talking more about body, about bodies. He said, when this earthly body has gone away, he said, we have a building. Now, notice the change now. We've gone from a temporary tent. Everybody knows what a tent is. We don't hardly understand that here in America. We study about teepees. You know, we know what a teepee is, right? You got some sticks, you stick in the ground, and you wrap some buffalo hide around it. But the thing of it is, it represents being temporary. You can pick it up and go whenever you want. It has no foundation. This foundation is the dirt. You can even leave it behind. But he say, when you've gotten rid of this, you know one thing, that God has prepared a permanent, and it's a building that God has made, not made by hands. I think the song said, not made by man's hands. It says it's eternal in the heaven. He said, here comes the anticipation. I'm looking. And that's his presence right now. His past is that he's gotten out of that temporary. And I'm going to jump forward. He says, in verse 8, it says, to be absent. You hear what I'm telling you? He's not gone. And I see my buddy over there, Rem David, and he always liked to preach about David after losing his son. And he makes this statement. He can't come back to you. But you carrying even that way. And all these, I guess, these superlatives that we've been giving him It's the same type of superlative that we're. I want to lead you to Christ. Don't worry about that body. Let me lead you to Christ, because that's where the real is. Tell me how a man should act with his wife. He showed me how a man should act in his neighborhood. He showed me how a man should give back. You know, what he's saying is, let me show you his past is he has shed this temporary building. There it is laying there. It's not him. Don't worry about that body there. He's not there. But the thing of it is, he's in the bosom. This is his present. He's in the bosom of the Lord. Now, I'm going to close because I want to give you his future, and we can give ourselves over to the end of the program. This body that we have now, it listens to our sin nature. But the body that God has prepared, it listens to be saved. Of his So the point that I say to my family, I picked that up. Pursuing after the word happiness. And God be with you. God be with us all. But God, I'm going to say it like every Christian should say it. You know, God is right.
easy way to leave you all with. And so as I reflected, I thought, how could I bring this to words? Who he is and what he's trying to show. And I came up with the course. As I sit and reflect on precious moments I've experienced with our dad, Mom's funeral, as the casket almost closed, I stood there and I listened at the casket. And I heard him say something to her in a whispering tone. You did a good job, Brenda. You did a good one. You ran a good race. And then the casket was closed for all eternity. For some reason, those words that stay. So I sit and I analyze. What I find is that those words, that statement, leads me to another profound and noble law to recognize. A very necessary and vital theme for one to know for right living. And this is where the course
going up beyond the I'm going up beyond the I'm going up beyond Lord. Conquer that in knowing soon afraid. Oh, I'm going up beyond I'm going up beyond I'm going I'm going up beyond I'm going up beyond going going up beyond